welcome guys. It is 2020 and I wanted to film this YouTube video to educate you guys about the Dybbuk box and the origin of the Dybbuk box and where it came from. I was watching a YouTube video and again, I don't like to mention names, but somebody had mentioned that they couldn't find any history past, I believe it was 2000, something like that, or around that time, maybe 2002, and they're saying the Dybbuk box wasn't real and all that stuff. Well, I'm kind of here to set the story straight, and these are all facts, and you can go and you could look them up, you could research them. But the origin of the Dybbuk box actually came about from the Holocaust back in 1938. It was originated that a lady who survived the Holocaust and I believe moved to the States with the box, didn't even open the box until she was 103 and she actually passed away. I'm not sure if you guys have watched The Possession. The Possession, of course, it's a Hollywood movie, a lot of people, based on true stories, based on true events. The Possession is really just based around the box and the origins of the box. Well, true story, again, this box was found and apparently, bought in a yard sale, something similar to the movie. And then somebody found that, there's about a 30-40 year window, which I'm very unclear about. But I guess in the early origins of eBay, someone actually put the Dybbuk box up for sale, and there was a gentleman who was very interested in buying the box. He was very interested in the supernatural. I believe he had a small museum as well, and pretty much the Dybbuk box had, a bunch of different things in it, but again, nothing really clear was ever said in terms of that 40-year period where it's kind of gray, even 50-year period where it's kind of gray. But the bottom line is, Dybbuk boxes are for real. And that gentleman who had said that, Dybbuk boxes are not real, sorry to say, but you're absolutely wrong. Anyway, somebody did buy it off of eBay. And after they bought it off of eBay, they actually sold it to Lionsgate, or whoever the parent company of Lionsgate was, and they were actually too frightened because of all the stories they've heard around this specific box. It was actually sold on eBay as an old wine box. And the contents, I don't remember the contents offhand. Again, when I do these videos, as you could see, I don't edit, nothing like that. But there are very, similar things that people find in Dybbuk boxes nowadays. Personally, I believe a lot of them are BS, but you have to be very, very careful. As you know, the Holocaust killed over 6 million Jews, as well as millions of other people. And when this box was brought over, going back to the Lionsgate story, the producer of the story, of the movie, actually was too scared to purchase the box. So somebody finally, one of the producers, they got the box, and they never even had the box in studio when they filmed the movie The Possession. And what had happened, and again, feel free to look all this up, but what had happened during the shooting of The Possession, even though the box wasn't even there, a lot of odd things happened. Lights burned out, after filming. The whole stage, I guess, lit on fire. There was a lot of happenings. The person who actually sold it on eBay was complaining that they were having, very bad nightmares, seeing apparitions, dark shadows around, and so hence them making the movie The Possession. And it, when you think about it, it kind of rings true. I mean, the worst thing that ever happened was the Holocaust in my mind. I mean, that's pretty much almost genocide right there. But bottom line is, going back again to the movie, sorry for going off on tangents, but after they filmed the movie, they did not even know what to do with the box because, again, while they were screening or while they were shooting, a bunch of odd things happened. A bunch of odd things happened to the characters who played and starred in the movie. A lot of things happened again to the set, of very, very odd things. And again, going back, and I'm sorry for going back and forth, but going back to the person on eBay, and seeing the apparitions and, feeling the intense power of the Dybbuk box. And for those who don't know what a Dybbuk box is, Dybbuk is, Hebrew, and, it's pretty much, evil. And I see more and more people, trying to go on eBay, and I see people paying $500, $700 for these boxes. And, again, going back to using spirit boxes and Ouija boards, all you're doing is you're opening up a gateway, to more and more, bad spirits, more and more poltergeist activity around the world. I was actually in a store the other day, and I was speaking to a very Christian person, and it was funny because we were talking, and there was a woman an aisle over who overheard, and she said that she wasn't a believer, and I wasn't going to sit there and debate with her. Hey, people have their opinions, and but I think, once again, and I said this in other videos, that the supernatural's out there, evil's out there, and you have to be very careful with it. And doing these sessions, whether it be with a Ouija board or whether it be seances, it's just inviting the spirits in. You're opening up that gateway. I see people burning Ouija boards. I see people burning dolls and stuff like that. I mean, you have to realize that these spirits can attach themselves to anything or anybody. And, very scary to think about because they're real. And going back to the actual Dybbuk boxes, I wanted to make this video because after seeing that gentleman say that, Dybbuk boxes, are BS and they only date back to 2000, well, I think he needs to do his research and go and, start by Googling The Possession and start by reading up on it. And it's wild, 1938 over in Europe, it was a disgusting time in our lives where we could never forget. And very scary. And again, I mean, the woman lives till 103, and she opens the box right before she passes. That to me is very odd, and obviously 103 is, especially back 50, 60 years ago, that's a very long life. I mean, you give me a sheet of paper to sign right now to live that long, I'll sign it all day long, which I'm sure most people would. But going back to being serious, the Dybbuk boxes are for real. And again, they say it does stem back to the Holocaust. They say, that it stems back to that one box again that was listed on eBay as a wine box or an old wine box. And when they opened up, they actually saw very similar things that you see on YouTube. Things, attachments to people, family. They normally come in pairs, according to the article that I had read. And, it could range from a bunch of different things. But these Dybbuk boxes, are sealed with wax for a reason. They're not meant to be open. That's trapped evil inside. I always hate to speak of the doll Annabelle, but Annabelle is in that case in the Warrens Museum for a reason. Many people have tried to provoke it, and these are true stories, and they go home or they try to go home, and a couple of people have died. A couple of people have wrote letters to the Warrens and to their daughter and their son-in-law, apologizing about what they did because they just had horrible things going on. These are things that you need to be taken seriously. And once again, these Dybbuk boxes, they're for real. And according to the research I have done, again, it stems back to the Holocaust, probably the scariest error that I know of or that I could think of. And it's disgusting what happened during the Holocaust. And if you're not a believer of the Holocaust, to me, you're just ignorant, stupid, naive. I unfortunately have family members, not within my immediate family, but family members that unfortunately were caught up in the Holocaust. And it was a very evil, evil time. And as you guys know, Hitler, he was a very powerful man, and he was a very great speaker. That's why a lot of people went along with what he had to say. And, this is going to be a short video, but bottom line is, please stop opening up these Dybbuk boxes, whether they're for real or they're not for real. And you're never going to know until you really open them up. And when you open them up, to me, probably 1 out of 1,000 of them are real, if that. But Dybbuk boxes are for real, and I just wanted to set the record straight that, again, it stems back to the Holocaust, 1938. And again, I'll just sum this up. The box, I guess, was brought over from Europe, and this woman had it until she was 103, opened it up, wound up at a yard sale, wound up being bought for a couple of dollars, I believe, and then I believe the person from the museum bought it for $250, if I'm not mistaken, on eBay. And again, I really want you guys to go and Google the movie The Possession, because I was very curious about it myself, and what I had found was very interesting, and you'll see a lot more when you read the articles that I have read, and you'll read in terms of what exactly were in those boxes. And it's scary, and it's a force that us as living, we need to be very careful, and we need to stick together, and we have to stop opening up these portals, if you want to call them, by communicating them. Even using a spirit box, you're still opening that portal. And even with the Ouija board, seances, stuff like that. I've had personal stories that I had shared with you guys, and it's just, not cool. And I see more and more people, they're monetizing on YouTube from all this, and they're making money, they're making a living, but they're also making the world a worse place, and that's scary. I mentioned on another video how many exorcists took place, and in 1 year, in the Vatican and around Italy, 500,000 exorcisms. That's unreal. I mean, go and Google the amount of priests that are trained or being trained. This stuff is for real, guys. It's nothing to be joking around about. And I just wanted to share that with you, because when I saw this gentleman say, oh, they're BS, this and that, now I'm sorry. I wish you were right, but it's not. And just like, again, mentioning the Annabelle doll, if you ever do go to the museum, and I would like to see the doll in person myself, but these things are not a joke, and they're not to be played with. And I just want to make sure that you guys understand and realize that Dybbuk boxes are the real deal. Not all of them, of course, but the true Dybbuk boxes are no joke. I appreciate you guys for listening, and have a great 2020.